Welcome, everybody, to the Risen Champions League. Welcome back. If you were with us around an hour ago, we had a little bit of a false start to the stream here today. Threw you guys over to Gentle Hearts, who just completed their 2-0 for their final game of the regular season. But now we are back for the biggest playoffs implication regular season game left to be played. Pick Me Galio taking on the Nuke Hunters for that third spot coming out of Group B and the final spot in playoffs. My name is Gordo. I'm joined by Slayer and Bonfire on the cast tonight. Guys, we got ourselves a pretty banger game here to find out who our sixth and final team is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, Gordo, it's funny. I feel like I'm just repeating the script from an hour ago at this point. But if any of you guys are joining late here, especially Gentle Hearts Gaming fans, Gentle Hearts Gaming fans, because it's very likely that they'll get slotted into that second seed, I believe, if CCG Futures win their game against Gravity. So, Gentle Hearts Gaming fans, the winner of this series is the team you're playing in playoffs.
Actually, that's a good point there, Slayer. That is probably how this ends up working out. So yeah, for those who maybe aren't super familiar with every team, with all of the standings, it's going to be Gentle Hearts Gaming, CCG Futures, and ISU Varsity coming out of Group A, almost certainly. I don't think it is possible for any other result to come through, because even if UBC wins and ISU loses, ISU has that head-to-head. So then CCG and Samikin Fanboys are pretty much locked out of Group B, and then the winner of this match will be taking that third seed. Samikin Fanboys, they have the head-to-head against both of these squads. Does not matter to the Fanboys what their result is tonight or what the result of this match is. They're coming out in second seed no matter how things end up playing out. So let's focus in on these two teams. We showed it a little bit an hour ago. I'm sure we've got new viewers now than we did back then. So let's roll back on up with the predictions for who we think is going to be able to take the game tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this should be a good one. And I think that our predictions kind of show that it's a little all over the place. Both of these teams are both very strong, 2-2, and I mean they're both potential playoff teams as well. And I think the thing is with this point in the season, we've seen a fair amount. We've seen 4 games out of both of these teams, but it's not such an extensive regular season that you feel so confident to say something with your chest fully pushed out. I say 2-1 for PMG, and even so, I still feel like, well, it could also go Nuke Hunter's way. I think the one thing that I do know, this is probably going to go to 3 games. Obviously, you guys disagree with me, but I think both of these teams are too good, and this series has too much implications for one team to just lay down and die.
Yeah, I'm going to be quickly honest here. Gordo, with that little information you talked about with the upgrade at top lane for Pick Me Galio, I would have changed this to 2-1 Nuke Hunters, but I'm a man of principle. So I stuck to the 2-0 for Nuke Hunters here alongside you. Also, by the way, if you guys have been fans of broadcasts where myself and Gordo are on them a lot around these predictions, I love to go the opposite of Gordo because I'm usually chasing him in the standings. I'm now technically ahead of him, so I'm tactically predicting the same as him. So I'll at least be leading going into playoffs.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Not in that I am ahead and solidifying my lead over Slayer. It's the opposite. But I am going to be coming in here, maybe regretting my choice a little bit due to the selection of top laners. Pick Me Galio have been running Levacious over the course of the last couple of weeks. And if they do have him in the starting lineup, he is a player that I have a lot of respect for and bumps this team up a little bit more in my standings. As we are already getting into the picks and bans here, I want to call out especially that Swain here for Pick Me Galio. That has been one that they took in the bot lane in their last matchup. They ran a Senna Swain bot lane between Harsh Winter and Scaife. I wonder if they're targeting for something similar here. They already see the Kaisa locked in. Maybe they feel like they're guaranteed a shot at the Senna. I think the Senna's totally broken. When it comes to Worlds pick'ems, Senna's my pick for most banned champion. Spoiler alerts there. You guys got
Ooh.
a couple more hours to lock that
Huh.
in if you want to, take some advice here from the Risen Champ's desk. I think that's the lock-in coming in right here. And I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
you
was
are.
just gonna say really quickly with the Swain Senna, I think it's actually more about the Swain in the AD carry position that's really is the stronger aspect of it because Swain has been dominating in the AD carry position for the last couple of weeks. Ever since a couple of changes to certain champions in that role, Swain AD carry is a great counterpick to a lot of different champions and has found a ton of strength. If you look at, pretty much any pro AD carry, there is some Swain positioning that they love to play, and it is just a fantastic stomping champion for the bot lane. And so, I'm not surprised to see the Swain AD carry even without that setup because I think when it comes to those two, I actually think the Swain is the stronger of that aspect.
Speaking on those big time mages, Azir still getting locked in here for Nuke Hunters, despite the fact that he has, I believe, received nerfs on the recent patch. He is slightly nerfed. Obviously, the king of Worlds play. He's one of those champions up there that you see like every time we come around to Worlds. Big time player in that stage. But they actually decided to try and nerf him a bit here. It's still being played, so you can see that some of these teams are still litmus testing. We're getting into the second phase of bans, though, and some priority being given over towards the Blitzcrank, and then we're taking away top laners here, which is intriguing. Actually, I'm totally wrong on the side of Pick Me Galio. They're going to go for the rare ban, second phase ban Rel. Usually that's getting banned first phase or picked first phase. Doesn't usually sneak through, so I like just taking that away if you don't want to play it.
There's that Senna ban coming in to make my pick'ems at least sort of correct. It is still definitely on the table here. I think Tristana going mid, Talia going jungle is the more likely result from these picks that we're seeing from Pick Me Galio so far. It's been a big jungle pick for Krugwalk so far, and I assume they are the ones coming in at jungle. They've been swapping Scaife down to the bot lane over the course of their most recent few weeks, ever since they made those roster changes compared to what they originally submitted. But now that's not going to be available anymore, so they're going to have to pick something else to go alongside this Swain. What are you feeling here, Bonfire? They could blind pick a top, they could take a support, or a bot lane carry for the Swain, and it looks like it's going to be a support.
Yeah, and I think the Rakans actually, it goes really well with this Swain because the only downside that Swain has is sometimes it can be difficult to land that never move, especially on, AD carries who have some mobility, have some increased movement like Kai'Sa does with her E. And so I think Rakan helps Swain lock down the Kai'Sa, bring her close, and then obviously Swain just wants to give her a big old bear hug and with the ultimate available, just drain all that life out of her. And so I like this duo in the bot side. I think also it helps with team fighting. Team fighting against a Swain and a Rakan, it's going to take so long to get through them when they're constantly dancing around, healing, doing damage. Really frustrating to go against. So we've got an Aatrox pick and a Camille counter. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I like the play there from Nuke Hunters. The top two blindable top laners on blue side. Renekton's obviously the king of that conversation. I think Aatrox is the next one you can go to if you don't want to play those tanks, like a Malphite or a Ornn, which actually both were up there. So it's interesting to see that Vale really wanted to go into an aggressive top laner. You could have really justified playing Malphite or Ornn in their comp as well. You have a Xin Zhao that's a bruiser in the jungle. You have a Nautilus tank at support. So you could use another one if you wanted to frontline, especially for the scaling factor. I actually think Ornn would have worked really well pairing alongside a Kai'Sa and a Azir for the ornaments. But Vale obviously wants to play to win his lane and be a damage dealing threat. So he's going to pick the Aatrox. It's a very high variance pick here. It could go either way very heavily. And into Camille, that's a top lane matchup that we're starting to see more and more, but we've seen for a very long time since these two champions have been around.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's Levacious in the top lane for PMG, so really got to put some respect on that name in the top lane there, and a dangerous selection for sure for Valet to try to go in. No name random dog in the top lane. I am going to have to double check whose account this is. I don't think it's Levacious, though. I think it's somebody else.
Really? Okay, well, that makes me feel more comfortable about my 2-0 Nuke Hunters. If that is a no-name random dog is going up against Vale here. Do want to also point out, as we're going to look at these comps holistically, it's going to be interesting to see how much mid pressure that this, I believe, that Pick Me Galio side is going to want to go for. You pick Tristana into his Azir, going to want to be jumping on them constantly, but Talia isn't the best at pathing for early ganks. I feel like, obviously, if she can get her seismic shove off and the positioning's well, she can get a good stun chain, but she's not the greatest coming into a gank. I feel like Talia jungle is used to power farm, set up for your Weaver's Wall connections towards the side lanes. So you picked a Tristana to win mid lane early, but you also have the Talia. There were a couple of good early game jungler options still up there if you wanted to go that way. I think Lee Sin was still up there. We were seeing a rise at him. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because the early game, You're going to need it if you are Pick Me Galio.
Yeah, and it could be a very difficult early game as well. I'm also concerned about this late game because I always like to talk about the go button in teams, right? You need an easy to execute composition, and I do think that this Nuke Hunters squad has a lot easier of execution. They have a lot of different champions that can start the fights off. Azir with the Stream of Shuffle. You've got Zenzao able to hop in, slow people up, get knockups. Same thing goes for Aatrox. Then obviously the Nautilus is the big one. And my biggest concern right now is, I mean, Swain plays really well off of CC. I think that Camille plays really well off of CC. Can still make things happen on her own if she needs to, but none of these champions can really press the go button and say, "All right, let's do it. Let's go." Other than this Rakan, and Rakan's not that tanky realistically, and so I'm a little concerned because not more than just the mid game. Later as this game goes on, I just don't know how they're able to start fights on their own, terms. They basically have to play a lot of disengage, and they have to look for like really great opportunities, but as a whole, starting a fight for them is not going to be an easy task.
Going to be a lot on the supports for both teams to be able to find those engage angles, and we'll see how exactly they're going to be able to execute on that one. Definitely a lot easier for the Rakan. You've got to feel, especially with these other dashers and the Tristana and the Camille, especially coming on in to give yourself a target to jump to as you're going in for that big quickness engage. But want to keep my eyes on Saknam in the jungle coming in through there for the side of the Nuke Hunters. They are really going to be super powerful in the early game, especially facing off against a Talia, somebody super squishy without those mobility tools. If you find that Talia in the early game, it's definitely going to be a way to get yourself a really heavy early lead. So Krugwalk going to be kind of on the responsibility of trying to find a way to path away from Saknam, still manage to get yourself that CS, still manage to be that AP damage source in the later game, and even get some ganks off, support your lanes as you always want to from the jungle position. But very, very dangerous territory here facing off up against such an early game skirmishy jungler.
Yeah, that's a great point to make here. But Bonfire, you brought up a good point. I think there are tools there for Pick Me Galio to play disengage. Talia can do a lot to disrupt any sort of dashes. Seismic Shove can be a big player in there. And you've got a Camille Hextech Ultimatum. You could use it to kind of single out a target, then bail out of it to maybe throw some dysfunction that way. And we all know that Swain thrives on extended fights. The more time he is stealing as much HP from his opponents with that Demonic Ascension is just... It makes fights really hard to play out here. And I do feel also for this Nuke Hunters bottom lane, Arch, there are a lot of bottom laners that I think there are niche picks when I play solo queue that I absolutely despise playing against as an actual... I would consider myself a more traditional AD carry player. So when I'm playing those actual marksmen, Swain is so annoying to deal with early game, especially if you're playing Kai'Sa, who is really not that mobile early game. I mean, obviously late game you have that invisibility, the dash is a lot faster, you have killer instinct to get out and put yourself around fights. But early game, it takes forever. You don't actually get that much move speed. You're just charging up extra auto attack speed on that E. So you're really just kind of immobile in a way for this Kai'Sa. It's going to be really hard for Archie even to farm, in my mind, against this Swain.
Yeah, and I think that's why Swain early on is so strong and why it's getting. I mean, there's a reason that Wonder went to Korea, for as a backup for Worlds and jumped like 200 or 300 LP just playing Swain AD carry. This guy's a top laner, but he recognizes that Swain AD carry is very difficult to go against right now. Also, something to keep an eye on right there. Azir going with that Conquer. I think there's a lot of different runes that you see on Azir depending on lane matchup. Conqueror into Tristana makes the most sense, right? You're not going for the poke battle. You're not trying to poke Tristana out and going for that comment because of it, like you do sometimes. Instead, going for that Conqueror and trying to take those long extended trades that Tristana needs to take with her bomb. So that makes sense. Conqueror on Swain as well, kind of interesting, but I think that also makes sense. And then Hail of Blades on Kai'Sa to me says, all right, you want to tango early on? I will do that. I'm down to clown. Let's have some fun, and let's make this bot lane a little bit more damage heavy and fighting heavy.
For sure. What really stands out to me is fleet work coming through for the Tristana in the mid lane.
Right.
That's one that we don't see too much of. You'll often see Halo Blades if you're trying to go super aggressive and charge up that bomb, or Lethal Tempo if you're looking to try to scale into the later game and have those big extended trades like you talked about Bonfire. But this time around, maybe just looking to be a little bit safer, knowing that there's a Xin Zhao coming in from the jungle and that you're going to get poked out a bit by the Azir, just trying to make sure that they can make it through that laning phase as safely and securely as possible. I am getting word from production, by the way. So Million Adson is the original name of Mr. No Name Random Dog. This is not Levacious. This is their other substitute top laner. They've been running him when they did not have Levacious. So we'll call him No Name for now. I think that's a perfectly acceptable name, not to be confused with the former professional player named No Name. And yeah, I'm excited to see how he's going to be able to do. I feel more confident in my 2-0 prediction. No hate towards him, but he is not Levacious. He doesn't have the pedigree that comes in with that player. And looking like it's going to be a really exciting matchup between these two squads.
Yeah, certainly will be, and it certainly also is kind of a like Levacious would be a really big play here, and it makes sense knowing Levacious that he would take the R5 into Camille or on Camille into the Aatrox, but we're gonna see if No Name can step up in a similar way. Like we talked about, folks, this is quite literally a playoff matchup at this point. Both these teams, there's nothing else standing in their way of grabbing the 3rd seed except the other team on the other side of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, it should be a good one. And look, when it comes down to this point in the season, right? You said this is basically a playoff match. There's not a lot separating these teams. Same record. I think we all think Nuke Hunters is maybe slightly better, but it should be a really great, matchup. And it just comes down to how much heart you have and how deep you can pull. So it should be a heater.
And not only the same record, I don't know this for a fact. I haven't done the research, but I'm looking at these records between these teams, and the math seems to check out to me. Pretty sure they got the same record against the same teams. I think both of these squads have lost to CCG Esports and Samican Fanboys, and they've both won against Michigan and Pride Stalker Esports. Either they won against them in the regular season, or they've gotten that free win since that team withdrew from the league. So, exactly same records against the exact same teams. It all just comes down to their head-to-head matchup up against one another. Pretty sure that's the case. It's the only result that makes any sense, given that Samican Fanboys only lost once, and that must have been to the lossless team, CCG Esports. So I'm going to give myself the Sherlock Holmes Award for correct predictions there. And I think that just makes this match more exciting. They've been tested up against everybody else in their group. They've had the same results each and every part along the way. And now it's all going to come down to the head-to-head to see which one makes playoffs and which one bows out here in the group stage. I'm being told we're ready to get out of Summoner's Rift, so I'm going to throw it over to Just Slayer and Bonfire for the cast itself, and I will see you guys back in the post-game. Take it away, Slayer and Bonfire.
And just like that, we're on to Summoner's Rift here with one of the biggest series in the regular season. We've returned to Risen Champs, and we've got teams looking to lock themselves in to playoff spots to try to play upset from that 3rd seed spot here. And out the gate, Pick Me Galio look like they're potentially stacking up for an invade here. Valley's going to be in a good spot to spot it out, and he will see them. Not too much great engage like you were talking about, Bonfire, for that invade to really work out. So you got to think they're just looking to get some vision down.
Yeah, they're going to be able to drop a ward right now, and everyone else scatters like the cop showing up at a high school party. Once one person gets seen, everybody has to head home, and so nothing else to be found. They even have the sweeper to make sure that they don't have to deal with that ward. Saknam, I'm not going to tell you you're much better at this game than I am, but you'd have to imagine giving that to Valley would, we've talked extensively about getting the ward early on and being able to get to level 2 a little quicker. But at the end of the day,
reward invade.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah, and there you go. Hey, you know what? That's pretty good right there because nobody saw that, so they're gonna have vision, and there's no way they expect the double ward. So, there you go, able to get some vision and some recognition of the jungling pathing early.
It will be a little bit harder to spot out exactly when Saknam jumps on top of the blue buff, but it will set up well to look out for ganks. Scaife immediately eats a chunk of damage there coming across from Arch. Good dredge line for poor reasoning. And both our junglers are going to mirror their start so far, but Krugwalk, that power of the Talia, having a bit more onus, but like Gordo mentioned, is we get another Drudge line to land, this time on Harsh Winter. Another full stack of that Kaisa passive comes across, and this bottom lane is going exactly the opposite of the way I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Arch had poor reasoning, taking good fights, and that's because Harsh Winter didn't take the Q. And so, yeah, the Never Move's great. It's able to lock down somebody if they needed to go in, for an invade or something, but his Swain just doesn't do any damage right now. And Arch isn't really too worried about, getting hit by the Never Move. Did end up getting hit right there in that last fight, but as long as you're able to proc your passive, you're always going to win out damage-wise in those fights level 1. And Arch Winter and Scaife get the tough end of the blade right there. They recognize that just a little bit too late. They'll take a good chunk of damage because of it. They have to burn almost all of their pots.
Speaking of blades, we're seeing Valet's Aatrox show off why you're able to blind him. There's a hookshot miss coming across from No Name, so he doesn't get that stun, but he gets a ton of damage over top. That's the early game power of Camille also showing up, but we'll have to deal with that wave shoving under their turret.
Yeah, I think that this Camille should be able to feel pretty good against the Aatrox, solely because of that hookshot. I think Aatrox really thrives against immobile top laners, and Camille, definitely not immobile, is able to get out of, a lot of the big damage parts that, Aatrox brings. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think it's very skill dependent as Krugwar gonna walk into Saknam here. I don't think this is what Krugwar wants.
Krugwar is out of cooldowns. Use a lot of them on that Scuttle Crab. Is already so low, gonna have to flash this short wall. Saknam's gonna follow right through. That is too easy of a first blood for Nuke Hunters.
Yeah, that is just unfortunate right there for Krugwalk. Walks directly face first into Saknam, and that's just not what you want, right? It's not really a misplay by Krugwalk, but it's also not really a good play. They didn't really have any vision on Saknam, and you just can't do that when you're on the Talia. It's unfortunate timing, sure, but just didn't end up working out for them.
Ooh, there's that Never Move coming back. Scaife gets the knockout, gonna drop Ignite over onto Arch's head, but they now spot Saknam roaming down. Really well timed once more after grabbing that Scuttle. So Arch is gonna go down pretty low here, but they have the safety of Saknam, who's also gonna help them shove in this wave to allow the reset. Really high level play coming out from Saknam so far in this one.
Yeah, and that's just smart jungling, right? Being able to not only be a presence, in damage and in ganks and trying to get kills and stuff, but also being able to help your lanes back and get good timings and such. And that's what Saknam provides right now. It's been a good game for Saknam so far. Getting a ward early on, getting a kill, getting a wave pushed out for the bot lane. High level jungling, and that's what you want to see out of your jungler, right? Sometimes you have a really fantastic mechanical jungler who you can expect to, pull off, outplays and really good ganks. But sometimes you just need a really smart jungler, and it is, I believe, probably the most mind-numbingly extensive lane or position in League of Legends.
Ooh, Valet, that's not enough respect. It might not be Lavacious, but No Name has got himself a solo bolo, drags PMG back into this one.
Yeah, maybe we should give this guy a name at some point, because holy moly, he just earned one. Beautiful play right there, and all that expectations about Camille taking, maybe a little bit to get going, more of a late game carry. I think that is out the window. This Camille is going, and it's going early.
And that's the power when you run this aggressive Camille stance. Ignite, teleport on the Camille there, is able to give himself that 1v1 advantage. And what does the response look like from Nuke Hunters? It's still the Saknam show. Has that bot Prio, and it's going to be able to take up this first Drake. Cloud, not the best first one to grab, but still a stack towards that soul regardless.
Yeah, and it's still stats as well, and at the very worst, the dragon does give you gold, so it is always going to be a positive to take the dragon, get that stacking going. I think also we were talking about it in draft. I don't feel like BMG really want to fight every single team fight. I think there are ones that they want to sack, and there are ones that they really need to go for. And so starting this dragon stacking early and, getting to the potential of making them do everyone's good.
Oh, Valet. He's going to pop World Ender. Actually going to run the other way. Good seismic shove from Krugwalk to pull him back towards No Name. One dash from Valet. He's running out of World Ender. Going to get a big Q off, get some healing through, gets the Conqueror. That's a big Q3, made it close. But No Name will close it out, and top side's going to be the play for Pick Me Galio.
Yeah, it got dicey there at the end. Aatrox almost did Aatrox things. Valet played that about as good as you can, but at the end of the day, it was a losing battle. And Krugwalk said, Saknam, I know you can gank. How about this gank right here from me? So beautifully played And they're really trying to hyperextend this this Camille ahead. Get this Camille in a fantastic position. Hold on.
Ooh, good combo there. Once again, the CC chain's coming across. Arch starting to feel the brunt of playing against Swain in this lane.
Yeah, Swain not fun to go into. Another never move into the queue. Arch taking a lot of damage. Does have those refillables, so feeling pretty comfortable. But you're just never going to want to take that much damage. And that's the thing about Swain as well is it feels like every trade that you take against Swain is almost always losing if you go even because Swain just heals up with so many of his abilities, has the ultimate obviously, which makes him even tankier. And so if Arch was ever to fight against this Swain, you know, in the next couple of minutes, would probably lose. And so it does feel like Harsh Winter played this lane matchup pretty well as we look towards the top side. I think also I will say that kill that the second kill that No Name got from Krugwalk's gank, very, very important because this Aatrox was still ahead in CS, but was able to ensure that it was a much bigger lead.
Beautiful dredge line there. Scaife popped quickness, trying to get a charm across to kill Arch, who is cleanseless. But that dredge line saves him. The grand entrance came just short. I think you're making a very good point there, though, that No Name is very much in control of this lane. This is a flashless Camille, and Saknam, he's done a lot on the Rift. Obviously picked up that solo kill. He's been pondering more towards bot side, but I feel like whenever you see a flashless solo lane, you got to think as a jungler to pay some attention.
Yeah, but I don't know about you. I would not want to fight No Name right now. I think that sounds like
no.
It's a very difficult task. You know, maybe early on, but I also don't want to discredit Saknam because even though obviously wasn't going for this Camille, helping out bot lane, got a kill. It wasn't like Saknam was asleep at the wheel. Can't help every lane at the same time. Chose to you know, say that, you know what, Valley, you blinded it. I'm gonna focus on other parts of the map, and unfortunately, you know, that solo bolo into a good gank from Krugwalk, and you know, it turns out that not helping out Valet might be the undoing.
Still, though, dominating neutral objectives is actually able to use the mid prio and a roam up from Poor Reasoning to grab that first Scuttle Crab. So he's got the first Drake under the belt for Nuke Hunters and that Scuttle Crab. Despite the fact they're down 500 gold, a great usage from that Scuttle Crab will likely give them the gold lead back. Is Krugwalk is going for a lane gank. There's Hextech Ultimatum out. Valet's close enough to his own turret here. Has World Ender available if he needs it, but doesn't pull the trigger just yet. Ultimate also available for Krugwalk if they want to dive, but here comes Saknam.
Yeah, Saknam's here, so but they have no clue that Krugwalk's here as well, and so No Name's doing a great job of baiting. This is going to be an interesting fight here.
Oh, but no Hextech Ultimatum. Valet still has World Ender. Krugwalk playing this so patiently. Valet is going to finally face check him. The Seismic Shove doesn't land. The junglers are duking it out with each other. There's the Crescent Guard. No Name doesn't fall. Beautiful W to save himself. Now on a killing spree as the mid laners show up. But just some trades of damage. Holy Carp can't really find a kill avenue. Oh. There's a big Seismic Shove. One tick, trades out Valet. Big Buster Shot, leaping forward. But look at the Shurima Shuffle. Holy Carp is going to trade him out, but fall to the E-Bomb. Oh, the shield saves him, but Krugwalk steals him with a Q.
Unbelievable work right there. We might have more in the bot lane, though.
Oh, both ultimates pop for the PMG side. The quickness gets one charm. There's Demonic Ascension. There's a beautiful double knockup, and Harsh Winter is farming, but Arch, Killer Instinct, pops Scaife here. Poor Reasoning trying to kite them off. Demonic Ascension still going. The healing coming through for Harsh Winter. Does he have the never move? Trades flashes with Arch, and it's the AD carries, or the bot lane marksman finding a kill each, and Saknam not gonna be able to pull something back.
Yeah, Saknam's here just a little bit too late, and going even in the bot lane makes this top lane skirmish feel a little bit better, but at the end of the day, Pick Me Galio comes out as the big winners of that in the top side. They waited, and they were shown to be correct. You know, it looked dicey at times, but they knew their damage. They knew that they had the element of surprise, and I mean, honestly, who needs the normal top laner? No Name is doing everything themselves, having a fantastic game, 3-0 on this Camille, able to take the dragon.
Saknam is really deep here, taking a lot of damage. Here comes one tick. Poor Reasoning trying to frontline, but there goes Saknam, and there goes Poor Reasoning, who just gets deleted. One tick is hopping around, flashing forward, trying to find another kill. The Seismic Shove, so well played. Krugwalk is taking over game number 1 with a quadra kill.
Unbelievable from Krugwalk right there. On a team full of great players, he says, I might be the damn best. A quadra kill, landing every single knockup. There is nobody they can go where the rock won't find them. And now they are up 3,000 gold as we go to a pause and somebody DC'd. And yeah, at this point, I might need a pause, take a drink of water, use the bathroom, and think about what the hell is going on. Because in the blink of an eye, in the last 2 minutes, this game has been blown open by Pick Me Galio. And they have so many lanes that are ahead. It's not just one member, but the entire team that's running like a well-oiled machine. Beautiful, beautiful work on that dragon fight. Beautiful, beautiful work on the top fight earlier. And everything is coming up PMG right now.
This is what we talked about they had to do with the draft they put together. Whenever you're picking Tristana mid, you're picking it to win a lane here. Talia, big-time player in the mid game as well. And they are playing for aggressive early game, and it has worked out to the tune of a 3,000 gold lead. One tick, might even pick up some more here, able to get that secondary plate before Holy Carb shows up. Yep, that's more standing solo gold onto this Tristana. And this is a bleak look for Nuke. They might have to go towards their bomb shelters.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear the air raid sirens right now. Oppenheimer is starting the countdown because this one is looking difficult for them. The one thing that's helpful for them is this bot side, right? If they're going to play through something, it's going to have to be through this Kai'Sa. Arch, able to get 3 plates in the bot side, does have a kill under their belt, but you look at the CS difference and, it looks a lot more bleak, down 30 CS, 25 CS in the bot lane. Not what you want to see, especially into a Swain. And again, this is the oppressive bot lane matchup that we were talking about, and it might get even more.
Ooh, they don't know Saknom's here. Teleport instantly comes out from Holy Carb. Will he get here in time? Krugwalk getting zoned off. There's a beautiful killer instinct, and Arch just pops Krugwalk. See you later. It's all gonna have to be on Harsh Winter with this demonic ascension, but he gets popped as well. Saknom plays that so well with the Crescent Guard, and the only trade back is no-name Solo Bolo for PMG.
Yeah, but it's massive in the bot lane right there. And they said, we saw what you can do with the top side. How about another lane gank from us? Saknom just waiting in the wings like a jump scare and was able to get them good. They're out of their seats right now. Not a lot they could do about it. The teleport worked out perfectly. And even though Arch fell low, did not fall to 0 and was able to pick up that massive shutdown. If you wanted anybody to get it in the heat of battle, you wanted it on Arch, and they got their wishes. And so, yes, down in CS, but like I was mentioning, this is a massive Kai'Sa. If we could pull up the gold real quick, I'm curious what the difference looks like in the bot side between these two bot laners. You'd like to imagine that Arch is doing pretty good. And actually, take a look at what happened top side. I'd imagine this is just no-name, just dominating Valet. And yeah, Valet, you can't take that trade at this point. You're down so much gold. Flashes to try to do anything to get out, but able to land the slow and easy peasy right there on the top side. So Valet, a little bit of a misplay, 0 and 4. And there's the gold like I was talking about. Even with that CS difference, even with that assist difference, this Kai'Sa still up in gold.
Yeah, down 30 CS is keeping it way closer than it should be. Now, I want to mention this fact. Objective Enemies did come out for Nuke, and it is actually all the no-name show. I mean, he's 4-0 right now. You can see he's up nearly 2,000 gold. But the big thing to get those objective bounties was the fact that he actually grabbed first turret as well. In the background is the platings. Not that big of a difference, but turret-wise, getting first turret, just such a big gold injection, and it's allowed them to still stay moderately ahead in that department, despite the fact those shutdowns were given over to the side of Nuke.
Yeah, this Camille is going to be very, very dangerous for the rest of the game for anybody on Nuke to have to deal with, because a lot of your carries don't want a Camille up in their face. I don't think the Azir, I don't think the Kai'Sa want to be dealing with a Camille, but realistically, it just does not get easier as this Camille continues to build items. This Camille continues to scale up, and one of the best scaling and split pushing top laners in the entirety of the game is just going to continue to be a menace and impossible to deal with. Gets a little bit of damage onto Valley, and that's what they do, right? A little bit of damage, hops away, maybe you can hop back and get Q2, get even more damage on Valet. It's just so difficult to side lane into this Camille.
Yeah, this is real rough as well for Valet, because the Aatrox isn't really going to ever get an advantage is we have another death rush situation. One tick, yeah, I don't think you want to jump forward just yet, give away your position. So safety for Arch and company. They had no idea One Tick was waiting around. But with the One Tick swinging bot side, it's allowing Pick Me Galio to get some prio onto this Drake. And they're going to jump right onto the first Hextech Drake we're going to get of the game here. And Sagnam looks like he doesn't want to even contest it.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the setup. I think most members had went top to try to dissuade No Name from continuing to shove them in, and so trying to stop that, and you have to pick your battles. You know, that's what happens when it comes to side laning, right? You have to decide: do we take the objective fight, roam all of our members up, or do we deal with the Camille? Right there, they choose to deal with the Camille, but at a certain point, they are going to have to start focusing on the objectives. Getting that dragon early, though, is going to ensure that they can start to take fights that they might want a little bit more, and you know, they don't have to worry about this dragon stacking until a little bit later. Rift Herald just barely able to get the mid lane turret, but only the bot lane turret stands right now, and One Tick, I don't think this turret is long for this world, and yeah, it's going to fall, I think, actually now.
Yep, it will fall there. One Tick had that 3-level advantage on Arch as well, so despite the fact those are two marksmen going at each other, it's the difference of taking one mid lane versus bot lane in the XP department. Does not have a shot in the world at really beating One Tick in a 1v1 and showing that respect over there. I will say, like you were talking about, Arch does hit double items here, the first member of his squad to grab him, and it's that good old-fashioned new form lethality build. Kai'Sa, I mean, at this point, I'm expecting a tank Kai'Sa build to come out that's viable.
Yeah, Kai'Sa is really the Swiss Army knife in terms of builds. There are some champions where they can build honestly whatever, and they would probably still be good. And Kai'Sa is one of those AD carries that, it's just the meta and the way that the items work out and whatnot. Just she's always going to have different adaptations. And hold on a second.
Ooh. Holy Carp with another big Shurima shuffle there to throw One Tick away. Sagnam will flash to make sure he can't get a trade. Really well played there by Holy Carp. Just keeps his composure every time on this Azir.
Yeah, One Tick hops in just a little bit too much. That's the interaction you see all the time with the Tristana versus the Azir. Hold on a second, No Name.
That was a canceled hook shot on a No Name. Yes, use the Hextech ultimatum to keep himself safe. Valet, though, takes a good licking from Krugwalk, so there won't be a trade to come out there, but that could have gotten dicey.
Yeah, it really could have. You do not want to give this shutdown over on this Camille. You already gave a ton of gold over to Arch, and that could have dire repercussions.
Oh, poor Riesling's hook might have dire repercussions. Really low, and Harsh Winter gonna flash forward. He's under turret, and too deep, says Holy Carp. Picks up a double. What a swing. Krugwalk's gonna fall as well. The outplay for Newcutter's mid laner picks up a triple.
Yeah, and that is the issue with playing nukes, my friend, is sometimes you're gonna get burned, and you're gonna get blown up, and that is exactly what happened right there. They go just a little bit too deep, and there's really no reason for it. What are they able to gain on the map if they get this? Honestly, not much. Maybe a Baron take, but they get too greedy. Their eyes too big for their stomach. And at the end of the day, they're going to gift 3 kills over to Holy Carp. And Holy Carp, indeed, that is the member that you do not want to have those kills. This is your now 5-2 from 2-2. Is now going to be a huge problem as this game continues. Has that Nashor's Tooth, has that Leandri's, was already doing fine in the CS department, and now you have to be concerned about what this Azir is able to do. Just not what you really want to do, and they're going to feel those repercussions as the game goes on.
We have some clear-cut carry threats on both sides now, and it's going to be that interesting tug of war, right? Bonfire, you know, you've got No Name on this teleport, but Camille thrives in those side lanes and those flanks. And how often is Valet going to even be able to answer this Camille? How much are they willing to sack in that 1v1 just to cover? And you're starting to see the power of this Camille, the pressure No Name has on the top side. They're going to try and start a Baron. They do get spotted, though. Still committing.
I hate this so much. I mean, it's the slowest Baron take ever, but they're going to fully commit to it, it looks like. Are they going to turn this is the question. 3,000.
Holy Carp teleports in. There's the quickness. Trying to get some distance. Demonic Extension popped out, but Sagnam is in the front of everybody. So many low health bars on the side of PMG. They're all getting popped. Harsh Winter can't heal it through. They can't get to the carries. Holy Carp stays safe so low. There goes One Tick. Hops in for one. Big buster shot onto the support. It's only Sagnam versus the world, and One Tick is going to save it and hop himself to another big quadra kill.
One tick saves the fight right there. It looked dicey. It looked disastrous. It could have been the end of the game potentially. They had lost that. They lose Baron. Everything starts to snowball away from them. But one tick, not ready to say goodbye to this one just about yet. And the whole time you're focusing on the Swain, you're focusing on the Camille. You're only letting one tick scale, my friend. This Tristana fully online now. 5, 2, and 5, able to get a mid turret on the back end of it as well. And the rest of the team owes one tick an Amazon gift card or a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card because one tick saved that game right there, no doubt about it. Again, they lose that, they could lose a lot more on the back end of it, but keep an eye on this Baron because with the death timers and the tempo, they could potentially try for a little counter punch. We've seen this before.
Ooh.
They've cleared out vision. Scape is walking in a dangerous position.
Oh, he had no idea, Bonfire. Zero clue. So the Dragon going to be traded for Scape's light there. Krugwalk picks up Soul Point. But now it's Nuke Hunters right onto the Baron. They're spotted, though. They have to burn this.
Yeah, they do have a Kaisa, and so they take this a lot quicker than anybody on PMG. Oh,
the same death rush. It's deja vu. What a shutdown. It's all on No Name, but he gets knocked up on the wall. Hextech Ultimatum onto Holy Carp, but they can't kill Arch Winter. Finally, he gets popped, but nobody's touching Arch. He picks up a double instantly. Krugwalk, now the only one. Killer Instinct behind. Arch is going for the big play, and he's going to slam it home. Nuke Hunters ace.
Pick me, Galio goes for a 3v5. Fighting for their life right there, and it just was not the fight they wanted. They get aced. They lose every single member in the double death rush. Need that vision. You need to know where they are. This is what I was talking about in Draft Slayer. This is why it's so difficult with this squad. Who face checks for them? At first it was Scape, but Mr. Khan cannot deal with all of the damage, and then once Scape had fallen, it falls to one tick on the Tristana. It's just there's nobody that can really walk up. And right there ends up paying the price for it. They're going back to the well that worked. Scape is here, sure, but they have no vision on the pit. They have no clue if Baron's being taken or not. They are deathly afraid of these rushes now.
Krugwalk does have Weaver's Wall, but this is burning way too rapidly. You mentioned it, Bonfire. It's basically gone. The Hextech Gates, here's the Weaver's Wall, but Krugwalk's too late. He's going to let it pass. And finally, we fought constantly at the Baron pit, and Nuke Hunters are the one to pick it up and basically even out this game one.
Yeah, I mean, with the ace that they had previously just gotten along with that Baron, this game separated by a very thin margin, only a little over 1,000 gold, and at this point, Nuke Hunters is very much in this game and then some. We haven't really seen enough out of this Camille in the side lanes, and they're continuously getting forced into fights they don't want to take, and the question is, look at all the standing gold. How much can Nuke Hunters get? That's one tower. I mean, how many towers can they get? I think they could get 3 to 4.
Well, they've set up one turret for the one they took. And you mentioned it, there's so much standing gold for Nuke Hunters to grab. They're going to grab both those middle turrets. But look, topside, No Name. Can he get an inhibitor back? Can he break Nuke Hunters' base open for it?
Well, with those Baron backs, I think inhibitor is probably off the cards, and indeed has to back away, but more importantly, was able to get a tower and was able to push a wave. But No Name,
Jason and Bonfire.
He might die for that. I will say, even if No Name dies, I'm still okay with that. I'm very much still okay with that.
Oh, PMG are going to commit to try and save him here. Sakdom can't 1v1 No Name. And poor Restig's now caught in front of Krugwalk in one tick. The turn's coming. What a bait from No Name. The Nautilus is down. But pick me, Galio. Don't want to commit any further here. What a route from No Name.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge right there, being able to bait them in. And I think poor reasoning, it's not a bad idea to try to wrap around and get this Camille on the backside, but at the end of the day, you don't have any vision, you don't know where anybody is, and you're alone right there. And beautifully played by PMG right there. They're not sacking their top laner. They're going to stick by them. They're going to ensure that No Name doesn't fall, and instead they're able to get a kill on the back end of it. And what it really does is it really screws up the tempo, because I feel like supports don't get enough love in League of Legends. Poor Reasoning is a massive member in this Nuke Hunter squad. If this Nautilus is down before fights, it feels like that's quite a lot of gusto out of their sails, and so they really need Poor Reasoning. And once Poor Reasoning fell, they basically had to wait until he respawned before they can start going for anything. That is a massive amount of time on their Baron buff down.
You were talking about how Scaife is such a big part of the engage for PMG. It's the same for Poor Reasoning as he takes another licking of damage. It's Sakdom and, wow, Poor Reasoning. Holy Carp forcing the flash out of Krugwalk and Arch. Where did One Tick go?
Yeah, One Tick got one tapped right there. Beautifully played from Arch. And you love to see an aggressive AD carry, right? Especially on this Kai'Sa. You cannot sit on your laurels. You cannot wait. You have to go in and you have to make the plays happen yourself, especially on this lethality build, is exactly what this Kai'Sa did right there. Arch is playing like a superstar Kai'Sa at the moment. And here is another Death Rush. And again, how is Scaife able to play this one out? They have no clue.
Finally, though, does ward it. And here's the push and pull, right? No Name is trying to play Distractor. He's level 16. Holycarp and Valet have committed to covering him. But the Soul Point Drake is up, so No Name's just trying to delay as much as possible. He's behind the Nexus, and he nearly finds a trade onto Holycarp, who has to go golden. But on the other side, Nuke Hunters, where did this fight come from? They've got Scaife. It's now Harsh Winter in the middle of everybody. This is where the Swain wants to be. Healing, draining the life out of Nuke Hunters, and he pops Sakdom. Arch isn't able to get the damage over top, but the Killer Instinct makes him an absolute god. It's Arch to the rescue time and time again.
He has that killer instinct, Slayer, not only on Kai'Sa, but as a player, always recognizing where the fight is meant to be and when to go in. Beautifully played right there. One Tick can only stand and watch to hop away, maybe try to get another kill. This might be a misplay from One Tick here.
Oh, he had to commit the flash, but he wasn't ready for Holycarp and Valet to just jump him. And he dies for his transgressions. Nuke Hunters, they keep their inhibitor up. They avoid Soul Point secure for Pick Me Galio. This game, man, is on a knife's edge bombard. You can tell both these teams need a playoff berth.
Yeah, they're both playing for their playoffs lives right now. So many members are stepping up. So many members making incredible plays. Arch, Holycarp, No Name, One Tick, all having their own time in the sun. Krugwalk as well. I feel like it's going to come down to one of them, but I would also not be surprised to see any other members step up. It is a team game, and it just doesn't look like anybody is ready to go home early. They're not ready to finish their season out. They think that they have more in store for them. They have more to give to this league, the inaugural season of Risen Champs. And it's hard to say with this play that you disagree with them. It feels like both of these teams, it feels like this is a playoff match, right? This is a high stakes, what feels like a playoff match.
And it couldn't have been any more fun to watch so far as we're once again doing the No Name dance here. Gonna get CC'd up the depth charge into the chain pole. They've locked No Name down, and he just can't heal through the damage. So the hero in the top side of the map, maybe with a blunder there on the swap side.
Yeah, it has been difficult for this Camille to get going ever since getting that lead. Was 4-0, now is 5-4. It's just not what you want to see. It doesn't feel like they like playing these team fights out. And uh-oh.
Oh, but they have to fight now, and they've already got Harsh Winter so low, he can't heal through the golden. And Holycarp's now on a rampage. That's two big damage dealers down for Pick Me Galio. And that means Nuke Hunters can jump right onto this Baron.
Yeah, the composition right now for this PMG squad is just failing them. It really doesn't feel like they have any chance in a lot of these fights. And even with some fantastic individual play from many different members on their team, and even with their great early skirmishing, as this game goes on, it's just hard to see a way that they win these 5-5 team fights. Consistently missing that front line. Like we had mentioned in draft, it felt like if this game went long, if they were forced into fights, they were going to struggle heavily. And the double-headed monster of Holycarp and Arch just feels impossible. It seems like the Mount Everest to climb at the moment. And consistently, I mean, ever since they got the 3 Dragons, ever since they got that gold lead, they've lost out on a Baron, they've lost out on a couple of fights. It's been slim pickings for them. And Nuke Hunters, they feel like a team on a mission right now. They know where they need to go, they know where they need to be, and they feel confident in their team composition and the way that they're playing to win this game.
There's so much standing gold for them still to grab. You can see it now as they spread out towards the top side. Sakdom, oh, does he have a catch on to Scaife? The Void Seeker lands just short. I think Arch pulls the trigger there if that lands. But now No Name, the Empire he kind of built up on the top side bonfire is now just turning into feeder gold for Nuke Hunters.
Yeah, one tick is now the side laning pressure. Now we've got one tick on the side lane while the Camille helps with the base. They are going to back to make sure one tick isn't able to get too much, but they've already got what they came for, right? They took the 2 towers in the top side. You talk about that standing gold. There you go. One tick trying to do whatever they can on the bot side. Has to back up, though, as everybody starts to back from the Nuke Hunter squad. And indeed is going to use that teleporter to get away. So, a little bit of a lull state in this game right now. 1 minute to Dragon. Soul, potentially, for this PMG squad. And it kind of feels like this Soul is their last way back into this game. A Hextech Soul, probably the best Soul in the game, could potentially give them an avenue to win this game. Could potentially give them a reason to keep fighting, but they're not able to get this next Dragon. It feels like in the next 5 minutes this game could be over, and Rugwalk has to be careful.
And Arch is trying to end it. Another beautiful dash forward to find a kill. He's up to 8 alongside his mid laner Holy Carp at 12. And Nuke Hunters are just barreling down a beautiful dredge line. They've got Scape wrapped up in a pretty bow and shipped off back to the fountain. And they're unrelenting here. They're going on to the next 2 turrets. Gonna burn the first one. Harsh Winter now showing up, has that demonic ascension. He's trying to heal, trying to sustain. They've got No Name on to Stack Knob, but they can't commit to the kills. Harsh Winter's still alive. He gets the GA, but a godlike Holy Carp and Arch dashes in, always at the nick of time. This guy has balled out all of game 1, and this ace is gonna seal him and his squad a lead in our series.
Nuke Hunters comes back. They hid in the refrigerator once the bomb dropped. They came out looking pretty untouched. Reports of their demise were greatly exaggerated in PMG. If you're going to come at the king, you best not miss. They get themselves a great early game, a pretty good mid game, and a bad late game. Gordo, welcome back, as that game looked good for them early on, but Nuke Hunters just closed the deal.
Never doubted them there, boys, as the Nuke Hunters end up coming up with it. A very close, very back and forth game, but you gotta give a big shout out to Holy Carp and what they were able to accomplish there. Just being able to stay strong on the Azir, continue to find the team fights, and great cleanups from the Kaisa side of that composition as well, making the picks happen, getting the cleanups in the fights as well, and playing out the team comp the way you would have drawn it up, losing out on some individual lane matchups, but still coming up with the win at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they drafted for. Like we talked about it. Sure, it shows a lot of resiliency, the fact that Vale lost top lane so hard on that big blind Aatrox counter pick, but the entire point of their comp was to be setting up Holy Carp's Azir later and allowing for Arch's Kaisa to be that threat in the late game. So the fact that they were able to stall out there, you saw exactly what happened. The carries committed, and they succeeded.
Absolutely here, and got some great highlights to show off after that game. Bonfire, how about you walk us through this first one here where Holy Carp really started to pull themselves into the game?
Yeah, and this was kind of the start of the end. It looked great, obviously from the beginning. You've got No Name and Crudwalk doing damage, poking out, Scapes here on the side. But at the end of the day, it just came down to over-fighting for this squad. And yeah, they get the damage across, but they're just not killing the important members. And this was huge as well because Holy Carp was, I believe, 2-2 at this point. Was able to get 1, was able to get 2. By the end of this, was 5-2. Krogwalk flashes over, and so a triple kill for this Azir ensured that they were going to be a problem as this game continued to go on. And it wasn't that the story of the game for PMG, giving kills over to high priority targets.
Yeah, definitely the case there. So much gold ending up in the hands of that Azir, in the hands of that Kaisa, exactly where you drawn it up. The Aatrox shut down for most of the game. The Xin Zhao not keeping up the snowball that you would have liked off of that first blood, but when the gold ends up in the carries, you're still able to make things work. You're still able to get those team fights gelling. Now, Slayer, there was some fight back to be had there for sure from the side of Pick Me Galio. Walk us through this team fight.
Yeah, so this is exactly why One Tick went with the fleeting footwork, went with that traditional 80 carry style Tristana build. And everybody at home, we all know these moments we've seen where a Tristana can pop off. But the thing I want to talk about this fight is one tick's the latest one to this one. So it's Pygmy Galio doing a really good job delaying, and it's all on Harsh Winter right now in my mind. He's doing so much healing. They're trying to kill him off. They commit so much for that, and they leave one tick alone. He teleports in here, and he's quite literally melee range. But then the hops start coming out. Everyone knows about Tristana Reset City, able to pick up tons of shutdowns, scaves things up as well to just provide some extra CC, really took it over the top. And one tick, really, like you mentioned, put his squad in a spot to swing right back.
Yeah, really was a pentakill angle there. Did not quite come up with it. I think it was stolen away by Rakan. You know, maybe get a little bit of harsh words out to your teammate there in between games 1 and 2, but certainly plenty of harsh words to be exchanged all around after ending up dropping a game where that kind of play was possible and where you guys were really set up to be able to carry it through. At the end of the day, big pick onto Talia and a cleanup is what ends up solidifying it. We can check that out in our last replay here. Well, Nuke Hunters are looking to close things out. They start their march down mid lane with a big pickoff onto Krugwalk, and that pickoff is all that it really takes. Void Hunter connects, and they're going to be able to chase the rest of the way down using that killer instinct. Krugwalk just gets one shot by the 2 fed carries here from the side of the Nuke Hunters, and they have no reason to stop from there on out. Another hook comes through onto the one reliable source of engage. They get blown up. Quickness means nothing. And now it's a 5 versus 3, seizing through onto the rest of the base. Harsh Winter going to pop that Demonic Ascension, going to try to fight their way through the stasis, through everything, and they get themselves some good damage there onto targets like Sakna, but Arch and Holy Curb, they're untouched. They're set up to be able to carry through this fight at the end of the day. A really well-timed Shurima shuffle to push back in the last remaining carry, and once one tick is down, so is the Nexus. A clean 5-for-0 ace is what cleans things up here for the side of the Nuke Hunters.
Yeah, just so much credit going over to Holy Carp. Just so poised on Azir, right? You're playing a control mage where you are susceptible to ganks getting blown up, but there were times where he's getting jumped on by one tick. There were times in fights where, you know, he could have died if he didn't keep that composure. He had that Emperor's Divide utilized so well. You could see how much of a swing of a game we had with this gold graph, but like we talked about, the 2 carries for Nuke Hunters really just topping those damage charts.
Yeah, and it
Absolutely.
felt like, sorry, I was just going to quickly say, it felt like, it was a composition issue near the end of the game, right? Even with that gold graph, they just consistently struggled to get in. And yeah, the damage was there. You look at so many different members above 20,000. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much damage you do. It matters how much damage you do in certain instances. And losing out on Barons, losing out on Dragons, that is going to spell the end of your game.
Yeah, completely agree there. Tough to find those really elongated fights when Azir and Kaisa are raining in so much damage and really make the most use out of your Swain. They don't really have the front line to keep that fight going for long enough, nor do they really have access, or nor do they really execute on, I guess you could say, the dive onto a target like Azir that you really would have needed to be able to come up with those fights at the end of the day. But that's not going to be it for our series. This is a best of 3, again, for playoffs qualification, so definitely going to want to see some fight back here from Pick Me Galio, see if they are going to be able to keep their hopes alive for this Risen Champions League split. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get into draft for game number 2, but we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes as the action continues.
You're never alone. Whenever it's gone, like the shadows stay home. You're never alone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Risen Champions League, where we are getting into picks and bans for game number 2 between the Nuke Hunters and Pick Me Galio. Already got our. Oh, there we. How do I get involved in this, guys? This is.
Well, I
So
guess
weird. I
I
always
guess
do
I
this.
do we hold hands?
Yeah,
sure.
let's hold hands.
We could kumbaya
Aw.
this.
Kumbaya,
Yeah,
my
this-
lord.
I just wanted to see if Bonfire would go the wrong way. And he did at first.
I have the depth perception on cameras of a toddler. I always like get
Yeah, no,
screwed up by the mirroring.
This stuff is magic to me. There's no way I would ever be able to tell what direction my camera is going to be facing. But we are zipping through the bans already. Azir going to be taken off the board for Holy Kerp, as it does look like Nuke Hunters are going to be running this back on the blue side. Pick Me Galio getting side selection off the back of the loss, going to stay on that red. They feel like that was not the problem, as Nuke Hunter is going to end up with first pick here. They utilized it on Kaisa last time around. That is still going to be available.
Wow, that's a call. So they're going to steal the Talia away. Potentially not for the jungle. And it seems like, all right, hey, Pygmy Galio, I'd like to make some points here, guys. Let's just slow down a little bit. It looks like Pygmy Galio thinks that Talia will be going mid because they immediately slam the Syndra. And then they lock into Kaisa for themselves. I like it a lot. I also want to quickly say I like Pygmy Galio sticking on the red side. I think the power of red side counter picks on the current patch is a little bit stronger than some of the first picks you can get right now. So I like them sticking red. I don't think that was the problem. But it's always a problem when you have to go up against a Croc.
Definitely
Yeah,
is.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but
No, please.
I'm just all over the place here. Renekton blind pick, Syndra blind pick, and so there's a lot of different. I mean, Varus, it's I don't feel like Varus is super meta right now. I could be wrong. So all over the place with these picks, kind of everywhere. Darius just straight out
Please
of the
lock him
blue.
in.
It ends up being Aatrox.
I want to make the basketball puns.
It's totally crazy. Yeah, we can't really do that for Aatrox, can we? It's just very strange across the board. With draft, I think you kind of fall into an ebb and flow, and this is just all over the place right now. This is a very, very strange draft. I think the biggest thing to come out of this, Orianna not picked up from Nuke Hunters. I thought that was going to be an instant slam. You see a Syndra, all right, I'll go Orianna. Then you handshake the lane, and both of you become huge AP threats. And they just don't do that. They completely ignore it and allow it to be potentially banned out.
Yeah, I really do. I kind of side with Slayer here. I think this is more likely to be a Talia mid lane, just because of how Nuke Hunters have generally been utilizing their picks. They've got a couple of games of Talia mid lane for Holy Kerp in the match history. They have not utilized it for Saknam in the past. It doesn't mean they aren't going to bring it out here, and that's the kind of flex that I think is valuable to have alive coming into the second round of picks and bans. And it kind of means Pick Me Galio, they feel pretty obligated to focus towards supports, because they might be wasting bans if they go towards mid or jungle. Briar are going to get taken off the board here by the Nuke Hunters, being at least aware of the potential of that pick coming on through for Krugwalk. They're going to ban away the Nautilus while they're at it, pinching that support pool even further.
Yeah, wow, we got rid of a lot of the big hitters. Alistair's still available. Renata's not terrible as well. There's no way you're playing brand support in competitive play. That's borderline troll in solo queue every time I see it. I refuse to allow it to go through here.
Whoa.
Blitzcrank was banned away on the second turn from Pick Me Galio last game, and they're going to lock that one back in and try and get a clear-cut engage tool, something Bonfire you mentioned so well they kind of lacked outside of Scaves for Khan.
Yeah, I actually really like the Blitzcrank in this meta or in this matchup because Talia and Varus are sitting ducks, man. I mean, this is as easy as reaching over the McDonald's drive-through window and grabbing chicken nuggets for yourself. Like we've all done it before. All right, nobody lie. And this Blitzcrank's definitely going to be doing that right here.
What
Are we
McDonald's
paying
are
for
you
these?
able? What McDonald's are you? There's no way a fryer is that close to the drive-thru.
That's why they have the window open, so you can just reach over, grab the nuggets, and drive away. And that's exactly what
Okay.
this Blitzcrank's gonna look to do.
Did Bonfire just admit to criminal activity on the live?
I'm trying to figure out, did you
for legal
order these,
purposes.
or are you stealing these?
No, I'm stealing
think
them for legal
he's
purposes.
stealing
This is a joke. For legal purposes, this is
For
a
legal
joke.
purposes. All right, so
The FBI
Zinjao walked
watches
in for
those
Nuke
streams.
Hunters. That's for certain. As we are going to see Saknam going to be running that one back in the jungle. They are going to be taking the Talia into mid lane, so it is kind of what we predicted there, and that's going to open things up for last pick Viego to come on through for Krugwalk in the jungle. will solidify where every champion is heading and gives that big reset potential. But I'm going to be honest, Pick Me Galio coming out of this, again, without a real true front line, it seems like.
Yeah, they're like kind of trying to mix and mash like multiple points. It's like, if Aatrox gets big Q3s on World Ender, he's gonna heal really well. And then it's like, if Viego steals Renekton soul possession, like he'll be kind of a front line. It's like you're trying to mash Lego pieces together that the book just doesn't tell you to put together, right? You're going off the beaten path here, and they're really just gonna be relying on they have to get a pick to start fights, and just it has to be a good hook onto one of those targets Bonfire was talking about, and they blow them up, because outside of that, fights are gonna get wacky.
Yeah, I think Nuke Hunters is kind of dodging your guys' criticism because they don't really have a true front line either. I mean, Renekton maybe with the Dominus, but even so, you want to talk about like true tanks. Renekton's not a true tank in the slightest. And through 2 games, the only true tank we've gotten is a Nautilus. Neither of these teams want anything to do with any tanky members in the game. It is very obvious that they are favoring bruisers. Now the thing is for this Pick Me Galio squad, I actually think they're okay with that, right? Because if neither team has a true tank, then they're both in the same boat. Then it just comes down to execution. In the last game, they really struggled because it was the Nautilus that could just walk in to bushes, they could clear and whatnot. I don't really think there's a member that can do that for this Nuke Hunter squad. And maybe Renekton, but if you CC Renekton enough, I don't feel like they're long for this world. And so it's across the board. Tanks don't exist, I suppose. Neither team wants to concede to give over tanks. And because of that, it's just going to be very, very skirmish heavy. And these fights are going to be very, very quick. And I think Vision's going to play a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to which top laner ends up a little bit more ahead here, right? I mean, if you come out of the top lane with an advantage of half an item or so, that's going to make a big difference in who's going to be able to be checking those bushes, who's going to be tanky enough to really be able to be that front line for your team as you go forward. Saknam as well going to be kind of in that same territory. The Crescent Guard going to do a lot up against some of the ranged damage sources, and if you're able to get out of the early jungle phase with a couple of good items in your pocket, you're going to be at least a little bit more beefy to be able to lead the way and get that charge in, get the fight started the way that you want. But the Blitzcrank always going to be a threat if they manage to snag one of those priority targets. So going to be a lot on the side of Scaife to see what they can make happen in this mid to late game, assuming that nobody's coming out of the early game with a massive advantage.
Yeah, that's kind of the point that hits it home for me a little bit here, is the difference in junglers when it comes to, if we're having the frontline debate. Like Viego versus Xin Zhao, it's not the same league. I think Crescent Guard might be the most impactful ultimate in this game, purely because if Saknam can time it correctly, he will quite literally make sure that one tick does 0 damage. If you throw Unleash Power onto Arch or Holy Carp, and you time the Crescent Guard right, all of those Void Orbs are getting deflected. They are turning into bouncy balls. They're just falling off of him, and none of that damage is coming across. Crescent Guard is just so good at neutralizing that. You can also eat Void Seekers as well. Kai'Sa a little bit better at getting close enough to get inside the Crescent Guard, but that's a double-edged sword, right? Because if you're an 80 carry inside the Crescent Guard range, you're likely nearly melee range, and then you're susceptible to just getting blown up yourself.
Yeah, I think that the Xin Zhao is going to have to play a little tankier, maybe a little bit more of the front line, which I think Saknam had to kind of do last game, and it didn't really work out super well, but maybe this game will be a little better. Like you talked about, there are definitely some interesting opportunities, and as we look at summoners, something that's kind of interesting, Kai'Sa going that cleanse. I don't believe we saw that last game. I could be wrong.
No.
But I think, yeah. So cleanse this time, I think there's one reason because of that. You look at the Verisalt, that is the pretty much easiest to execute route, that an ADC has to offer in the game. And so, concerns over that ultimate, you'd imagine, being paired up with all the other CC, gonna take that cleanse, try to keep themselves alive a little bit longer as we start to get through routes.
And cleanse the quickness charm as well. Just immediately
Sure.
make sure that cancels out.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be a very valuable tool that they have there, as We're going to check out some of these runes as they start to come on across. Not too much crazy across the board there. Lots of conquerors to be found. We still have the support in jungle out of order over here on the red team. So that's going to happen sometimes. Can't always get Pick Me Galio in the exact right order. And this was the position that they originally registered for Scaife to be in. He was originally their jungler, ended up swapping down to support as they've gone through some roster iterations now. Going to see if that's going to be enough to get them through to playoffs here. They've got to win 2 in a row now. One more game loss will be the end of their Risen Champs League season. First strike coming through for the Talia now, and Airy for the Syndra.
Airy is certainly an intriguing one. There's so many combinations, especially in that tree that Syndra can realistically run. I know in Divine last year, good old Nightingale, miss you, buddy, but he made a series out of the fact that he ran Phase Rush Syndra into a lot of targets that are just going to try and run at your Syndra, so he can get out there. Airy is just for some more consistent damage. I wouldn't like first strike against the Talia. I think Talia's one of the kings of mid lane of proccing that first up against really anybody. So Airy seems like the logical answer to land on.
Yeah, I think so far we haven't had anything too crazy. I wanted to highlight the Glacial on the Blitzcrank because talk about that pseudo frontline. Glacial means that is not going to be that tanky of a Blitzcrank. Sometimes you'll see an Aftershock on Blitzcrank. You're not going to see that. It's going to be Glacial, going to be solely focused on getting those picks, which means any thoughts of the Blitzcrank walking up first probably thrown to the wayside. As maybe the most important one that we always talk about is the Varus. And keep an eye on that because Halo Blades Kaisa is what we saw last time. But a Comet on the Varus is definitely interesting because that could potentially, it could be, early game Varus wanting to get poke off. It could also potentially mean lethality Varus. I doubt it, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I lean towards lethality more often when I do start to see that Arcane Comet coming on through. So maybe going to be looking for a little bit more of an early game centric and poke heavy approach to this game for the side of the Nuke Hunters. I mean, the Talia got plenty of range in the tank in her own right, but you're going to be diving in there with your Renekton and your Xin Zhao one way or the other. So I think that just means they want to play for these early objective fights. They want to stack up dragons, they want to stack up Rift Heralds, and they want to get an early lead to slam down Pick Me Galio rather than kind of the situation that they found themselves in last game where in the mid game they started to dip, they started to give a gold lead over to Pick Me Galio, and they needed to rely on the scaling to play it at the later game. If you're lethality Varus, it's not going to be an option in this game number 2.
I think it's great recognition from the whole coaching staff over at Nuke Hunters. I mean, purely, if we're talking about the two heroes of last game, our Arch and Holy Carp, it is a vastly different spiking timing when it comes to Talia versus Azir and Varus versus, the Kaisa. Even if you do go that on-hit Varus, still doesn't spike as hard as Kaisa does later in the game. So why not commit to the early, and why not commit to showing that you can play two different styles of compositions as you are in a spot to go into the playoffs where that matters just even more.
For sure, as it looks like we are on to the Rift for game number 2, so I'm going to send things on over. You guys can take it from here as we're going to find out if Nuke Hunters are going to take a 2-0 series and solidify their ticket to playoffs, or if Pick Me Galio are going to keep us here for a third game tonight, and we're going to be running right into the first series of Worlds.
I was wondering when that reference would come in here. Yes. For everybody at home, I know you guys, we've got Nuke Hunters fans in the chats. We got Pick Me Galio fans in the chats. Honestly, the second most important thing about our broadcast is that we all unite after this to back Golden Guardians.
This is it's the world's pregame right here. Like you want to see a little bit of League of Legends, and this is kind of how you ease into it. You can't just get straight into the EU versus NA wager match. You basically have to ease into it with a almost equally as important playoff match first, and then you can kind of start to feel your way around rooting your hearts out for NA. Although that is gonna be an interesting game. That actually I have stakes in as well. Both of these teams, I'm indifferent on. I hope they both have fun, do well, play the best League of Legends they can. If BDS wins, I might kill myself. So we'll see. Legal joke. Legally, it's a joke. Legally, it's a joke.
Let's make sure to throw that disclaimer out. nonetheless. But I mean, Bonfire's just trying to reiterate the stakes, right? I've quite literally never in North America had like a direct slugfest against EU. Like you've had your few skirmishes in Worlds groups, you know, MSI. We've had probably a couple of, off the top of my head, I can't remember, a couple of late knockout stage bouts as well. Nothing as quite literally direct as one of you two is flying to Korea to bow right back to your home country. The other one gets to stay for much, much longer. Hello.
Start off.
I mean, that's the Blitzcrank power right there. Level 2 might have been a kill, but it's a ton of a chunk coming across, and you need that up against the range advantage that Arch's Varus brings.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage early on, getting both of those potions out. And Arch still is going to be walking funny for a little bit longer. I will say about that original point, I think, remember Mad Lions versus EG last year in Mexico City? That was maybe the closest we've gotten so far. And
Right.
hear me out, it was a 3-0. So all I'm saying is Team Liquid's winning Worlds.
Surely former Risen superstar JoJo Pune is also once again repeating at Worlds, right?
Surely they didn't let go everybody that made that roster so good and decided to sign a budget roster for some reason.
Surely.
Surely.
It's all right, Joe. We'll just get it done for JoJo. Is Nuke Hunters is looking to get the series done for their playoff spot, like we've highlighted so much. Last time we're looking at the top lane here, Valet struggled and on the Aatrox, and now he gets to go up against the Aatrox on the king of the top lane in my mind right now, the Croc Renekton.
Yeah, Renekton has been. I feel like Renekton's been overtuned for so long because of how strong it is early on. I don't know about you. When I play solo queue in top lane, sometimes I hate going into Renektons. Just so annoying to have to go into. Really good early, really good late, or mid game. Not so good late, but still, it doesn't really matter because the Croc already has his foot on your neck, and the game's pretty much over at that point. So Renekton just feels like always a domineering factor in the top lane. And right now, Valet, is there ever a champion to get your groove back underneath you than with Renekton?
Yeah, exactly. Great point to make there. I do want to, as another hook will land here for Scape, he gets the knockup. Poor Reasoning's going to go forward with a grand entrance to get some damage back down, but Scape is starting to establish himself as a big threat on those skill shots. I really like this Blitzcrank pick more and more the further I see it play out here, because if you are Arch, you want to pop out of the minion wave to set up those big-time Qs. There's another hook. Arch going to get knocked up. He has both summoners. They might look for a turn here, but Arch is taking too much of a licking for it. That's a good piercing arrow back.
Yeah, it's a good piercing arrow to ensure that the trade didn't go too awry, and it kept things pretty civil. But right now, the hooks are landed. Life is good for Scaife, and getting a ton of damage across. And yeah, Arch was able to get some damage back, but look at that health, and more importantly, look at that mana. Arch is probably going to need some help from the jungler soon. And there's another one.
Scape is 4 for 4, and Krugwa's flash stun secures it. I feel like Scape, for once, deserves to get first blood. Absolutely balling early on this Blitzcrank, and it's the second game in a row where Pick Me Galio are the first ones to find a kill.
Yeah, I mean, Scaife can do no wrong at the moment, and as many Blitzcrank mains will know, I used to be a Blitzcrank main myself. There's not a lot to the champion other than land your hooks. If you don't land your hooks, you are a worthless champion for the most part. And if you land your hooks, you are God himself reincarnate. So it basically just comes down to landing your hooks and the mini game of the skill shot. So far, Scaife looking for high scores.
Certainly scoring high so far here. He immediately grabs the Moby Boots, and this is also, excuse me, what other high-level Blitzcranks do is, yeah, it's obviously fun to just continuously try and land hooks onto those bottom lane targets, but Blitzcranks really thrive when they get out on the map here and try and punish other lanes, especially a lane with La Talia, who's pretty immobile.
And the thing is, as well, is if you're forcing Poor Reasoning to cover other lanes because you're concerned about you, I think that actually favors the Kai'Sa. You know, in a 1v1, I'm taking Kai'Sa against Arch's Varus every single day of the week. And so I think that, you know, Scaife has the added benefit of you're also giving your AD carry a good 1v1 at the same time and making Arch uncomfortable, whether or not Poor Reasoning decides to roam or not. So it's a fantastic first purchase. I think that is really the only first purchase, because between a decision of do I get a little tankier, do I get a little faster, or do I get around the map, more consistently, you got to take those boots every day of the week.
Looks like Valet could use the boots here, trying to dash away after a trade, but No Name's able to get some serious damage back over top there. Speaking on that 1v1, of Arch versus Harsh Winter, it really does come down to the skill shot battle. I mean, Kaisa auto attack range. If Harsh Winter can dodge out on those Qs, those roots, yeah, it's easy pickings. Holy Carp might get picked off here. That's the Unleashed Power ultimate already out. Holy Carp low, but early game Syndra just can't pop people just yet.
Yeah, good damage. It's a good attempt, right? It's going to force... Hold on. Ooh, Galio almost dies right there. It is going to force this Talia to back soon, but not right now, as Holy Carp needs to hang around, realizes that because Sacknum wants to potentially fight over something, and both teams kind of feeling each other out still.
Poor reasoning. Gonna have to dash back to Arch here. He's gonna eat the hook, get the knockup, gets ignited, and then gets back Guardian Shield, doing wonders for Poor Reasoning. That's the slipperiness of a Rakan at its full display, as Valet has teleported back top and still wants to brawl, despite being a level down here. Nobody popping ultimates. That's a flash dominance pop from Valet. Roll to enter the answer. No Name just trying to run away. You don't want to fight Renekton in this form, and he's just going to wait it out well. But he can't overstep. Sacknam is here. No Name has to flash back under turn, but Sacknam, can he get the knockup? It's Valet's dice that slices a first blood kill for Nuke Runners.
Yeah, and it's tough as well because No Name had played that one out so perfectly. One tick.
You've heard of the support roam, but what about the AD carry roam? Arch is coining it and coining a kill onto one tick with it.
Yeah, that is unbelievable right there. And I mean, it just goes to show the kind of player that Arch is, right? Because in that last game on Kaisa, sure, you have that killer instinct when obviously you have killer instinct, but how about when you don't? And you basically just have to walk into mid lane and do an AD carry roam on Varus of all AD carries. Very, very impressive work. Able to get a kill, make sure that the gold doesn't get too crazy out of hand. And now, actually, Nuke Hunters is up 500 gold. They get one in the top lane, they get one in the mid lane. Doing pretty good for themselves. And it's just good to see if you're a Nuke Hunters fan, because it took a while for them to get going in the last game. Their early game skirmishing was maybe not up to point. This game, they're showing a lot better.
Now they're showing that Krugwa cannot trifle in the Nuke Hunters jungler. That looked way too easy. And it's another game where Arch finds himself with an early lead, and that's got to feel even better on this lethality virus.
Yeah, I mean, Arch is really showing out this series, having a statement win in the game one on the Kaisa, and looking to do the same on this Varus. Krugwalk just a little overextended, didn't have help from the rest of the team, and honestly, I know the name is Krugwalk. We're going there was very greedy, and uh-oh, one tick. No flash.
No flash, beautiful seismic shove. Holy Carp doing exactly what he did last game. Sacknam under some threat, but this is exactly who stepped up last game for Nuke Hunters. Holy Carp and Arch back in that same driver's seat.
EMG. Starting right now to feel like they're running out of gas in the tank. In that game one were a huge threat. Played a fantastic early game, had their moments, looked at points like they could have won the whole thing. This game just coming out a little flat, not really showing that same ferocity, the same danger that they had in game one. Because of that, they find themselves down. Now, they still do have positives. I think Harsh Winter still could be a huge reasoning because of that. Still up on CS, has an assist to their name on the Kaisa, will scale up well. But you look at this Nuke Hunter squad, 2-0 Varus, 1-0 Talia, 1-0 Renekton. Looking difficult, especially early on. They're down 4-1 in kills and about 2,000 gold at 10 minutes.
Well, you brought up a good point there, Bonfire, is the fact that this is PMG that has much more of a scaling factor, but Scape's looking to fight here. Harsh Winter coming over top of the Killer Instinct. There's the Heartbreaker, but Krugwalk can't get any of the kills. They can't keep chunking up the turret. It's too strong, and Arch survives. Holy Carp is now teleported in. Gets the seismic shove. Harsh Winter gonna cleanse the slow. Scape pretty low as well. There's a good scatter of the week. Holy Carp will actually have to flash back himself. Scape looking for a hook angle here, but they don't know that Sacknam is here, looking to break down the fight. The Weaver's Wall, Sacknam committing onto one tick, gonna get the knockup, gonna get the kill. Scape trying to run away. He hooks himself into a charm, and it's a double kill for Holy Carp. Nuke Hunters are trying to run their way to playoffs.
3,000 gold lead right now, and they're doing everything right there. Beautifully played. Every single member except for the Renekton showing up and showing out. And they were able to kill Krugwalk
Oh my god,
Oh,
Sagnam,
oh,
he's
no.
been maxing out here. He's got Krugwalk. Can he get Harsh Winter trying to get the autos out? And he is able to claim it with that Q. So you do have Harsh Winter with 2 kills, but like you mentioned, the rest of the board looking very bleak for Pick Me Galio.
Yeah, it's looking dicey. You talked about carries getting ahead again as, uh-oh, Valet. Hold on a second.
Valet trying to get a kill on his own here. Dominus popped, and No Name really just recognizing the matchup. You just never want to fight Renekton when that ult pops.
Yeah. But I was going to mention before that happened, Nuke Hunters has a nose for the carries. They always know where to get the kills for. Sometimes you have squads where, the support will pick something up, or a jungler, a tank will. But it always feels like Nuke Hunters is able to get the gold in the right places. 3-0-2 on Arch, 3-0-1 on Holy Carp. Doing a fantastic job of making sure the damage threats getting the money. And right now they are rolling in it. A Lissandre's for the Talia. You've got the Duskblade for Arch, which just confirms our suspicions. It is going to be that lethality Varus. And we were talking about earlier, no tank on the side of PMG. That poke is going to sting.
Yeah, for both, it's even worse, Bonfire, because you've got the lethality AD poke from Arch, and then Talia's all backing up the ability power. They've got both fronts covered. If you try to build like a Maw, you try to get some extra AP shielding from like a Banshees.
Tabbies, it's just, yeah.
Well, that's one way to get it back, though. The Sackdown might not be the one you want to hook. He pops the Crescent Guard to keep himself safe from range. Poor Reasoning doesn't land the Grand Entrance. 1 tick, able to stay safe here. There is the Chains of Corruption coming out. They're trying to burn Scaife, and Sackdown pops him. Good first kill picked up. Not a ton of damage being taken. Krugwalk feeling that lethality poke. As we now are going to flash topside. Valet and No Name still trading constantly. No Name has ultimate advantage if he wants it. Flashback towards the bot side. Sackdown onto this Infernal Drake. Good amount of damage onto 1 tick. There's a knockup. They've got Krugwalk cornered. Rampaging Holy Carp, but Harsh Winter able to find a back-end kill on to Poor Reasoning. But it's only a silver lining. Nuke Hunters pick up the Drake.
Yeah, they get the Drake, they get some kills on the back end of it. Easy does it, get the poke across, but hold on.
Oh, Harsh Winter trying to be a hero. He's got Arch cornered, has to flash away, but he flashed right towards Scaife. The knockup punch is going to set up the knockout blow from Harsh Winter for the shutdown.
Beautifully played right there from Harsh Winter, and indeed it is a Harsh Winter. Holy Carp. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, he tried to turn it onto 1 tick, but he is the one that comes out on top. And hold on, Bonfire, is this deja vu reversed? Pick Me Galio are now back into game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, they should change their name at this point to Pick Me Blitzcrank, because Scaife, looking like Atlas right now, the entire world on his back. Pretty much every single play has been with a Scaife hook at the front of it. I mean, this Blitzcrank is so annoying to have to go against. And that's 2 massive shutdowns in the right places. Syndra getting one of them. Harsh Winter's Kaisa getting another. And they are not dead yet. The defibrillator should not be used yet, because they still have signs of life.
They are getting about 250 cc's of copium injected straight to the veins from Scaife here. And they also have Harsh Winter. Now 4-0 has 2 items as well. He's got that lethality kit of Kaisa completely locked down. Good dash for Poor Reasoning to divide the hook, and looks like we're going to dance around another neutral objective once more, this time Shelly.
Be interesting to see what they go for. Now keep an eye on the bot side. Talia and the Kaisa both down there, but Talia does have teleport, Kaisa does not, so if they really want to go for something.
And it's a huge 3-man knockup from Poor Reasoning to set up the root. Krugwalk is once again the victim. 5th death for him as he stays silent, and Nuke Hunters erupt.
Hunters erupt and then some, able to get the kill. Believe they got 2 flashes as well. They did use the teleport from the Talia just to make sure everything was fine and dandy, hunky-dory. Have to use the ultimate to get bound bot. Does look like fun, doesn't it? Although I will say, it looks like fun. You have to remember that she's riding a wall of rocks, which means if that was me, my butt would hurt so badly at the end of that.
But she's it's like she's surfing. So she's always standing on them. She's standing on like a rock and surfing.
Okay, it's a little better. I thought she was like on it with her butt, which I guess
It
wouldn't
sounds
make
like
any sense.
It sounds like you're pretty butthurt that she gets to have so much fun.
A little bit.
Oh
a little
boy,
bit.
oh boy.
She might be
Please don't
butthurt
hurt
here.
Oh, good flash though, and she's about to turn this 1v2. Scaife is gonna fall. A valiant
Oh, no.
effort, but Harsh Winter does give the shutdown. Just don't dive Holy Carp, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
an
mean,
execute.
yeah, Holy Carp played that perfectly. Like you said, it is an execute, so that I don't believe that shutdown goes over, but still a kill gets over to the to Holy Carp's pockets, line in those pockets, able to get another kill 5 and 2 right now. And like you said, don't dive him because it could end up disastrous. Right there, it does. And now one tick could be in some danger. Poor Reasoning decides to wrap, which it looks like this Rakan is not going to do. I believe they still have Rift Herald. Indeed, they do. They're going to drop it mid lane, take the first mid lane turret. Could try to go for a second here as well. And oh, Krugwalk. Hold on a second.
Krugwalk has been very silent this game. Hasn't been able to get going on this Viego. Needs to
Oh, God,
accelerate
poor
himself,
Reasoning.
but he whiffs the stun on the flash play. They still have Sakdom rooted up. The Crescent Guard can't protect you there. So that play might have not cost them. And Krugwalk trying to come at Arch, but he gets popped. The Duskblade nearly able to get him out, but it's 2 more kill starts Harsh Winter. Pygmy Galio, they have their catalyst. This Kaisa is way online, but Holycarp is going to take his friend away. Scaife trying to go too far for that hook.
What happened? Did they not listen to you about not diving Holy Carp?
Oh my god, and they're going to pay for it in droves, Bonfire. That's a double as one tick falls now.
Slayer, I swear, man, sometimes you should be a coach because don't dive Holy Carp. We've been saying that. We've been saying that. They see blood in their eyes, but Holy Carp ensures that the only blood spilled is theirs on the ground. Gets 2 kills, 7 and 2. We've got more battling on the top side. Valet and No Name, by the way, doing just a quintessential top lane moment where everything is going on across the map, and they're just like, oh, I'm up, you know, I'm up some CS. But at the end of the day, Valet's doing what they need to do, right? They don't need to stomp. They don't need to get so far ahead that No Name's way out of this game. They have a 20 CS advantage and 2 kills. Good enough. They're doing enough on the top side.
Now we're getting to the point where literally all the pressure is riding on Harsh Winter's soldiers, and I'm curious to see how much Nuke Hunters are going to start committing to just killing him off. I mean, that's the AD carry dilemma about playing every game, but it's magnified with the state we have for this potential elimination game for Pygmy Galio.
Yeah, this Kaisa, 7 and 1, Brazil to Germany, but could get difficult. You know, you said it yourself. I will say, out of all the AD carries you would want to potentially be able to carry at 7 and 1, you know, and self-peel and all that stuff, Kaisa is probably top of that list. So if anyone could do it, Harsh Winter on the Kaisa would be the one to do it. But it is a tall order. It is a full English. I'm talking eggs, hash browns, bees on toast, the whole lot. It is not going to be easy to put it all down.
I was hungry until you said beans on toast.
Okay, all right. Here's my
Don't you dare
bonfire-
back a European breakfast right now.
Here is
Don't you
my
dare do it.
bonfire, you know, tirade of the stream. Beans on toast is the best thing to come out of that breakfast. That is my hot take.
That is a terrible take.
I think
that is-
that it is a great take. 'cause you
I
can
think
use-
that is... Dude, hash browns are my favorite breakfast food.
Hash browns are very good, and I'm not saying that I dislike the other parts of it, but the beans, it's a nice hearty way to start the day. You put some Tabasco sauce on it, you know, get it a little spicy, nice and salt and pepper on it. And it, like I said, like you want to start your day with a good, healthy, fulfilling breakfast. And I don't know, I like the beans, the Heinz beans, they do it for me, man. It's weird, every person I've told thinks I'm weird for it. You will join the ranks. But, you know, I think, you know, let me know in chat if you agree with me. I'm a big fan of an English breakfast.
Well, I think chat's really enamored by if Valet is going to get out, because Holycarp is going to bail him out. Krugwalk
Gonna get
just
out.
really struggling to get going, but Scaife also going to whiff that hook. Sakdom in the middle of everybody with that Crescent Guard trying to deflect as much damage as possible. His carries can't get on top of any targets. No Name able to heal up well, but Valet flashes forward. Going to get the slice. Can he get the dice? He's going to trade it out. Poor Reese gets a big charm. He gets the carries locked up. Harsh Winter has to dash back to safety as Arch's arrows are unrelenting, and Nuke Hunters come out on top once more.
Ends up being a 2-for-1. Nuke Hunters able to ensure that even with the weirdest of fights, even with the least probably enjoyed of fights, that one did not look good at the start. They still come out on top. They are inevitable, it feels like right now. Up 4,000 gold and Barons in their eyes.
Yeah, right off spawn nearly. Krugwalk still around, does not have flash available, and bye-bye Skafe. That basically just shot any choice at going for this Baron. Krugwalk has no way into the pit, and Nuke Hunters are starting to run away with this game and the series.
Yeah, it could get dicey soon at this point. Things are looking difficult. It is the final hour for PMG. I mean, this is a team with a huge fan base, and they are a well-loved team. And at the end of the day, they are just not having the game 2 they want to have. Came out a little bit flat at the beginning, found a little bit of a resurgence through harsh winter. But as this game continues to go on, it does feel like Nuke Hunters is just inevitable. You know, at every single point they want to do something, it looks difficult.
Well, that's one way to get something done if you are PMG. One trick showing off why 80 carry players hate Syndra.
You said that like it was like one of those pop-up ads where it's like 80 carries players hate this champion. Find out why.
Well, they just found out why. If they clicked
Yeah,
it, they would have
did
saw
find
just
out
a
why.
5-second video of One Tick blowing Arch up. Who, by the way,
Exactly.
had a shutdown and was way ahead of One Tick, but it doesn't end up mattering, just like that hook from Skafe doesn't end up mattering.
Yeah, ever since we started, chatting about how Skafe was having a fantastic game, has started to fall off a little bit. I will say, and it's not really for Skafe to blame, at this point, if you hook anybody in, it's still kind of dicey. I mean, Arch is kind of the only member that you can hook in consistently and feel good about it. Maybe Holy Carp as well. But yeah, it's just very hard at this point because early on, every single hook was great. Everything was well welcomed. But at this point, you hook certain members and you're actually doing worse for your team.
You're telling me he shouldn't hook Valet with Dominance popped in.
I am actually saying that, believe it or not. You should not hook Poor Reasoning in when they have the quickness active.
Well, that hook didn't land on a Poor Reasoning. Skafe whips another, gets rooted
Bye-bye.
up. They're going to burn him under turret. Yep, they do, and they'll get it done. They'll take a good licking back. Poor Reasoning's going to die to turret there. Sack down very low, but I don't know where One Tick went. Krugwalk is going to get a possession, but he immediately has to flash away, respecting Holy Carp's damage, and Valet is going to get really mad at No Name for canceling that teleport. Going to really try and kill him off here. But No Name has been slippery all game long, and Valet won't go under turret and try and kill him.
Yeah, an ambitious teleport there. Krugwalk's still here. I will say, Holy Carp and Arch could die here if they're not careful. They're able to walk themselves out, luckily, but No Name is here. Looks like they kind of have an idea that he could be, and
Wow, Holy Carp. That was blind, by the way. Holy Carp predicted exactly where No Man was going to be. There was no vision to let him know that. This guy is just showing off in a game that matters so much for his squad.
It was great, don't get me wrong, the first Q, but Poor Reason, or No Name, had every way that they could have walked out of that one, chose not to.
One Tick really wanted to get a free kill,
What is
and
going
now
on?
he's just going to get jumped on. Desperation coming across here now for Picnic Galio. They do secure that Drake, but what will it cost them? Holy Carp is going to make sure it costs a whole lot, as he's just stat padding by this point. 11-2 now on this Talia.
Yeah, and Slayer, it feels like the mental is kind of gone from this PMG squad. They're making mistakes. They're constantly in places they cannot be at, taking these aggressive and greedy positionings and pathings. It's tough, right? If you're a PMG squad, you saw opportunities in this game. You saw a world where they did end up winning, where a couple things go right and they could find a way back in. But at this point, it really does feel like they don't believe anymore. And if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will. And right now they're gonna have to find a miracle to get back in.
They are down, approaching 10,000 gold. They've at least stymied a potential Hextech Soul early secure from Nuke Hunters. But you mentioned it. It is now a 4-item Talia coming across, gets the Shadow Flame completed. I'm gonna go out a limb here and say Arch. Yeah, he also just completed his 3rd item, gets the Shirelias. So the only thing that's really they can hold on to is the fact that at some point, if this game goes long enough, they will outscale with this Syndra, with this Viego. They already have the Kai'Sa online, but they have not found the avenues to even survive any of these fights.
Yeah, and I think the issue is as well as scaling's one thing. Being able to utilize that scaling is another. They're just consistently getting hopped on. And normally you would say, well, lethality Varus will fall off at a certain point. but I don't think it will because this Lethality Varus is hitting all squishy members. I mean, you're always going to be able to do damage with Lethality Varus against squishies. And I think that they're just going to be constantly hopping into fights at lower health bars than they might want. They don't have a tank. I don't know. It looks very difficult.
And now Scaife getting in position for these hooks. It's another beautiful seismic shove from Holy Carp. Poor reasoning, limps away, Unleashed Power, not able to find that one. Krugwalk is cut off and able not even to walk away. Another double for Holy Carp. This guy has an eye for kills.
Yeah, Holy Carp, holy crap. Having an unbelievable game right now. And had a great series as well. The Azir game as well. It was fantastic. Arch also having a good series. You know, yesterday me and you casted a game where it was the mid-top that were unbelievable and having showing out. This game it is that bot mid. As Valley overextends just a little bit.
That's a good pick. They got the kill once again on the Harsh Winner, who has 9 of the 14 kills for Pygmy Galio. And that's
Yeah,
what you want the kills on.
9-1-3 in a 25-14 game is crazy. That's insane.
Oh, Scaife. He can't even set up for these hooks. All right, he did land one, but not the target you want. Holy Carp able to Zhonya's immediately. Harsh Winter, he's going for it all. They're diving backline. One tick actually pops Arch, and hold on a minute. We're recently having to kite back a bit, but it's the Holy Carp show once more. He's pulling the damage over. This guy's a legendary player in this game number 2. Harsh Winter now going to be jumped on by Saknam, able to find that kill, mop them up. It's the Surfer on the blade for Holy Carp. Gets another one onto one tick. This guy is unstoppable.
Yeah, there's nothing that he can do wrong right there. Gets hooked by Blitzcrank. Who cares? You know, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Able to get more kills, more gold in the pocket. Disengage. I mean, it's unbelievable. It does feel like that. Holy Carp can do no wrong. Beautiful, beautiful work. And even with Arch and Saknam falling, doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? Because they are just immediately going to say, you know what, Baron's in our eyes, and, you know, come try to stop us. Because Holy Carp is waiting there with awaited breaths.
Whenever this guy's around, feels like Pygmy Galio have no chance unless they can jump onto him. Scaife going to go for a Prairie Hook. He does get poor reasoning, who will not dash over the wall until the nick of time. And what was that steal? No Name out of nowhere. Might have given Pygmy Galio a lifeline.
Well, okay, let's be real. A lifeline, maybe not, but it delays the game for longer. And you talk about the scaling as well. That's 5 more minutes that they're in this game, probably. I say probably because at this point, you know, Nuke Hunters could potentially just push it in. But I don't know. I mean, that is crazy. I've never seen something like that. I didn't even think he was going for the Baron. I think he was just Hail Marrying to try to kill the Rakan there. And ended up getting the big purple worm. That's a crazy, crazy steal. And in the darkest hour.
Nuke Hunters, a rare error there. They got a little too greedy. Saknam was dead. He could not get there in time to even contest for the Baron. They had no smite. So you give a true 50-50 over, and No Name will capitalize on it. They do pick up Soul Point now on the Hextech Soul, but that's not Soul yet. And that big threshold doesn't come across just yet. With Baron minions, you can see how much Pygmy Galio are able to just keep Nuke Hunters off their base with these waves. They've got it on 4 members.
Yeah, and again, that's what I was talking about, right? Like, are they going to be able to push into the base and make a run for it? Probably not. Are they able to stop the base being destroyed? Yes, and that is infinitely just as important because it ensures that, again, they can scale a little bit longer, get some more gold in their pockets. This is a 4-item Kaisa, and they're even able to get a turret. So, never mad about that.
Yeah, especially with the objective bounty gold, right? They're able to get as much out of that as possible. And the stall game is really on here. You really, need to just get Krugwalk. I mean, he's got to get to 3 items. You've got one tick at a point where if he can land a stun onto one of these squishier members like Arch and get the Unleashed Power off, it'll likely result in a kill. But a lot of this hinges on one of these 2 main AD champions, these melee AD champions, getting to a point where they can tussle.
Yeah, they're going to need to find that place. Because if they don't, this game is over.
Their season is over.
Game series season. My voice cracked so high there. I just sneezed, then rushed back to try to make a point, and my voice cracked. Oh boy. I don't know about you. I am getting sick as the weather starts to get colder. But I knew I couldn't miss this game, all right? Even with my nose running like a leaky faucet, I knew I couldn't miss this game, and it has shown out. It has been definitely a good series ahead of playoffs.
Two teams ultimately brought everything to the table, and certainly Nuke Hunters have come out on top, but we talked about it. Pick Me Galio were very much in that game number one. They were leading for a lot of it. We saw the goal graph after the game, but they came up short there, and now they had No Name as such a hero in game number one. I mean, he was so far accelerated on this Camille. He's been very absent in game number two on the Aatrox.
Yeah, hasn't been the game for No Name. I guess after watching that last game, we should have known, pick Aatrox and bad things will happen. But it hasn't really worked out. The Renekton has kind of had their number. I will say this Renekton has been very quiet as well. Hasn't really done a lot. Both top laners haven't had a huge impact in this game. It's basically been Holy Carp versus Harsh Winter. Shades of Arch and One Tick as well. But this game continues on. I will say, Big Mini Galio is doing exactly what they want to do right now, which is they're slowing the pace of this game down, and they're waiting. Oh, it's a huge pick.
That's a big pick, but can they burn Arch? Nope. See you later, One Tick. He gets popped. Saknam now onto the front line. Krugwa goes to the hero play to find a shutdown, gets the possession, but it's Holy Carp to blow him right back out. Arch Winter doesn't even have an avenue to fight, and now he's going to have to, because here comes Holy Carp surfing the rocks as he is cruising his team to a playoff spot. A 18th kill in the match coming across for Holy Carp, and all No Name can do is try and delay the minions as a last resort to keep his team in the series, in the game, and in the season. But the ace will come across, and it's a race to the base.
I don't think they can end now. With One Tick up in 15 seconds, they don't really have a super big wave, and still hasn't even gotten to the first inhibitor turret yet. So I think ending is probably not in the cards, but they're gonna get a lot off of this, and they're gonna get a lot of gold, and they're gonna get an inhibitor, which means they're gonna have supers pushing in at this point. Dragon and Baron are up in a minute. That might be the fight that we look back on as the game-winning fight.
And it started out exactly how Pick Me Galio drafted their comp to play. It was put Scaife in a playmaking role and get him onto a priority target. He hooked Arch. But the one problem they didn't calculate for is Talia thrives when people are grouped up, and certainly thrives when she is full build, majorly accelerated. Look at this. They're going right back for One Tick here. And watch how fast One Tick pops. See you later. Good night, Sweet Prince.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Syndra? Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it. And so now they have dealer's choice. What do you want? Baron? Do you want this the soul? Or do you just want to go end the game?
Well, they're going to try it. Saknam, pop Scaife. See you later. That's the main engage threat down. Valet has found Krugwalk on the side, trying to use the Hallow Mist as some sort of protection here. And those two kills are going to lock in Hextech Soul. In case, we're just rubbing salt in the wound with this one, Bonfire, that they get Hextech Soul of all.
Yeah, Hextech Soul. I actually think they're going to go do Baron after this as well. 15 seconds on One Tick, 20 seconds on the Blitzcrank. They could definitely try to. And that would, I think, probably seal it. Baron minions, along with the Soul of Hextech. I don't know. I think that's probably too much for PMG to withstand. Down 20 kills, hanging on by a thread. It's too bad, right? One of these teams has to go. We saw really great stuff from both of them throughout the entirety of the regular season. And, it's obviously not my job to say, thank you, but I want to extend a personal thank you to this PMG squad for, for joining in, for hopping into this season, for showing out. The fans were great throughout the season in the Twitch chat, always saying PMG win. And it's just great to see, this is an inaugural season. So to have those fans, to have this team show out, try to make playoffs, it's great. Game's not over yet, but it's looking real dicey. It's looking like it's probably over.
And it's Holy Carp that wants to put the nail in the coffin here. Watch this Talia. He has 21 of the 37 kills for Newcomers. Full build at this point and doling out damage like it's nothing. Big chunk of pump going on to 1 tick. Is they're just going to play this slowly, methodically, sieging up. They don't want to mess up. But now they might look for the accelerate button. Beautiful double charm, knock him on the back line. Where did the carries go? Goodbye, Harsh Winner. Goodbye, PMG. And Newcomers can officially say hello to the playoffs. And Gentle Hearts Gaming, you're up next.
Nuke Hunters, looking like one of the most dangerous teams this league has to offer right now. They get work done. And even though there were some doubts about how long this series would go, there were some doubts about who would win this series. Nuke Hunters proves you and Gordo right. And they prove a lot of fans right at home that this is a team not to be messed with. They grabbed themselves the W in 2-0 fashion, and they locked their ticket into into the playoffs. Not Worlds yet. Not
Wait
maybe
for
later.
Risen Champs into Worlds,
Maybe,
baby.
maybe
We got
later.
Make the pipeline.
We got there, Slayer. The 2-0 prediction
Yep.
ends up correct for the play-by-plays of the league, but a great game all around there played by Nuke Hunters, and they are going to very deservedly qualify for playoffs. We said it again and again throughout the broadcast. These teams could not have come in on more equal standing. 2-2 records, losing to the same teams, winning against the same teams. It was the head-to-head that was going to determine our final seed coming into playoffs, and the Nuke Hunters take it handedly.
Yeah, they really established that they are at a tier above when it comes to this matchup between two teams. Like everybody saw at home, we were able to show the tier list. Me and Gordo going into the season didn't have too good of an idea of which one was better. And that's why we came into the season to figure out exactly why Nuke Hunters dominant win. And, I know how Gordo, I know how we feel about, the team they're going to go up against a lot, but just got to give some credit. There got to be some sort of a threat the way they were able to dominantly handle the series.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you got to give them a little bit of credit here coming up against a squad like Gentle Hearts. I mean, they're going to be dangerous, but they showed a lot of really great stuff here. I mean, Valley, we were a little bit concerned about the top matchup coming in, ended up against the sub-top laner, of course, but certainly still showed plenty there. And, you really got to give so many props to Holy Kerp and what they were able to get done in tonight's series. And see if they're going to be able to keep up that kind of performance up against either Ariandel or Pure Genesis. I mean, Gentle Hearts have been running both throughout the season.
Yeah, it was a very important showing, and I was making that face earlier. If you're wondering, just a little blitzcrank out damaging the Viego by 2,000. Oof, 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 oof. Yeah, it's a tough one. So Nuke Hunters just get their shovel out, just dug them a grave. It's a tough look, but look, like I was saying earlier, Pick Me Galio had a great season. They should be proud. This is it's difficult to hop into a league where everybody's new and you have no clue every week in and week out who you're going against and how they play the game and whatnot. And they came in, they were fun, they were exciting, they were not toxic. They were a team that brought a lot to the table, so we appreciate them. But Nuke Hunters, man, they just showed out. And I'm excited to watch this team in playoffs, man. I really think that if there was an underdog to make a run for it, this Nuke Hunters squad, they've got some dogs on that team for sure.
Absolutely. Here we will have some replays coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but really great stuff to be shown there all around. All right, we got one right here. Walk us through. Oh, never mind. We're
Oh,
for one. Here's the replay. Bring it back. Tell us what's happening here, Bonfire, this bot lane fight.
Yeah, so it started off great with the hook right there, but as we've learned, diving any member of Nuke Hunters can provide to be fatal sometimes, and that's exactly what happens. Krog Walk goes a little bit too far, ends up dying, and this is where Holy Carp starts getting a name for themselves as the man who just does not miss that knockup on the Talia, but maybe it was for naught, has to flash away from 1 tick right there. But this is where things look great, and this is where I was really impressed with Nuke Hunters as a whole, as a team, just constantly being able to find re-engages, right? If the first engage doesn't work, if things don't look good as they begin, go back for another one, right? Go back for seconds. That's exactly what they do. They find 2 kills. Poor reasoning does end up falling, but what at first looked like just 1 kill ends up being 3 kills, and they always found those little silver linings to continue to line their pockets.
Yeah, you'll trade that all day, every day, and it ends up with Holy Kerp coming out ahead and starting to really start to snowball that lead that they are going to end up with such a tremendous one at the end of the game and be able to carry on through for the victory there, Slayer.
Yeah, and it was a mix of Nuke Hunters really able to punish well. I mean, obviously, you want to play your game style, but I thought constantly they were able to punish Pick Me Galio's overstepping time and time again in this one specifically.
Yeah, now let's check out a follow-up dive where Holy Kerp just gets to continue to build up more and more as we transition on through. You can see it's Krugwalk in the river, maybe looking for a little bit of a flank angle here as the Rift Herald starts to get thrown down. Now Saknam stepping forward. He wants to find a angle as well. Engage is coming on through from both sides, and who's really flanking through here is it's going to be Krugwalk starting off the fight. The hook comes on in. They're going to be able to melt down Saknam plenty early here, but poor reasoning crucially interrupts the recall. The fight out from Arch ends up being successful. They get a trade 1-for-1 before they end up going down, and poor reasoning. He's still here. He's been lurking in the wings the whole way through. He's there to back up Holy Kerp, who manages to turn around the dive for one already. I think they're going to be able to get one or two more out here. Yeah, as Holy Kerp going to pop that Weaver's Wall to chase down one tick and make sure that they're going to be able to turn this into a positive play on net. And that's 3 total kills going over to the Talia, continuing to build up that advantage.
And that's exactly what they had to do, right? I mean, whenever you see a Blitzcrank slammed, and you have a Talia who is just the queen of breaking down dashes and engages, it says a lot about a squad. Everybody knows to a T how to play engage comps. A lot of it's straightforward in a lot of ways for League of Legends. It takes a really talented squad to play disengage this well, like Nuke Hunters did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was an impressive game as a whole, and I think also what impressed me a lot about Nuke Hunters, not just from game two, but from game one as well, is the fact that they adapted. I mean, they played a lot of different styles. Going from Azir to Talia, sort of different as well. You go from this Kaisa to the Varus, very different. They just showed a lot of flexibility with the way that they wanted to play their composition, and I think that's what's really going to help, lend them a hand when it comes to playoffs. You're going to have to find new ways to play the game. You cannot be a one-trick pony. And the fact that they showed out on different picks and they showed that, yeah, we could, make it happen on a lot of different styles and, different champions, I think is going to be a real pain in the butt for any team that has to go against them. I almost swore there because try to game plan for that. Try to game plan for Holy Carp, popping off on Azir and on Talia. Try to game plan for Arch's Kaisa and Arch's Varus. It just sounds like a disaster.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to keep those fingers crossed the Twitch admins aren't listening in on the stream
I
today.
didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't
You
say
didn't.
it.
You didn't. I mean, there's been some moments on this stream for sure, though. So we'll we'll see exactly how things play out. But we've got ourselves our final replay here. Walk us through this one, Slayer.
I mean, Gordon, there's not much to say. I don't know how many replays I've said this exact phrase, but this is the good old-fashioned slap them with your wallet routine. I mean, by this point, Nuke Hunters are up so much gold. I will want to give some credit out here to Poor Reasoning. That is a fantastic Rakan combo he throws out there. And he does pick off the one member that really could have saved the fight for Pick Me Galio. He knocked up Harsh Winter, who, by the way, I think he ends up going like 10, 2, and 3 in the loss. So that second death being a tough one, Poor Reasoning to grab that one. But once you lose Harsh Winter, there's no front line on this comp. We established that for Pick Me Galio. That wasn't their strength. They're just all scattering, and Holy Carp is so far ahead now that he can tank a fountain shot and find what I believe was his 23rd or 24th kill in this one.
Crazy.
Great
Yeah,
performance by Holy Kerp to finish on off the season there, or the regular season, I guess we'll say. He's got a postseason ahead of him.
it's just a hell of a way to end your regular season. Just like, yeah, I mean, in one of the most high intense moments, where it's do or die, to make playoffs, just drop a little 20 bomber. It's nutty. It's just crazy. In a competitive game of League of Legends against other champions level players, Holy Carp does not care and is inevitable and will, kill your entire team on the well-known hyper scaling carry of Talia. Yeah, sure. Just crazy. I mean, an unbelievable game, and Holy Carp had one for the ages.
All I'm going to say about that one, guys, is that's a KDA that CS:GO players would dream to have in a playoff game, and he just pulled it off in a League of Legends game.
Yeah, for
CS2
sure
players.
here. So great stuff coming out of them, and that's going to lock them a date with Gentle Hearts Gaming coming into next week. They will be playing up against each other, as well as it will be ISU Varsity taking on Samican Fanboys, I believe, will be our other
Ooh.
matchup there to kick on off playoffs. That will be the winner's side. I guess you could call it winner's side quarterfinals because we have buys for the number 1 seeds. So then
Right.
that'll be winner's side semis and going on to winner's finals, etc. So winner's side quarterfinals will kick off right here, same time. Well, not same time because we started an hour and a half late today. Similar time, regular time
Regular
next week,
times.
hopefully. Barring reschedules, we'll keep you guys updated with that on all sorts of Risen media. But we'll be selecting one of those matches that will be streamed here as a best of 5. We'll be covering it next week. But until then, stay tuned to Risen for other Risen leagues throughout the week. We will see you guys next week. From myself, Slayer, Bonfire, and Caddy on production. Enjoyed spending this time with you, and we will see you again soon.